So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today, it's going to be a little bit shorter. Probably only going to go about 15, 20 minutes. Um, and then I'll let you guys get off. I know like the 10-year-olds, y'all have practice tonight. Uh, but first off, just y'all know I look at Game Changer pretty much every night. Well, especially after game days, so weekends. And like we talked about a few weeks ago, for kind of the goal of the amount of hits that we want to get, when we're getting 6 to 7 hits a game, we're pretty much winning. And any of the games that we get less than 6 hits, those are the games that we're typically losing. The errors are kind of a non-existent point to the outcome, basically, because we're having some games, even if we have 3 or 4 errors, where we're still coming out with 6 or 7 hits and being able to win. So we need to continue to have the approach at the plate that we've been having, and the approach that we talked about at the very beginning of the fall, about looking to hit early in the count. We got to compete in the box. So if we get 2 strikes, we're going to do whatever we can to not let the pitcher get us out. We want to put the pressure on him, and then we want to attack fastballs and attack the fastballs and hitters counts. And if we do that, then we're going to put ourselves in a pretty good chance, pretty good shot to win. And so I heard Barry Bonds talking about something the other day on Instagram, and I even reshared it onto my story. But he was talking about how when he gets in the box and he's looking at the pitcher, he gets into this tunnel vision of focus. And through that tunnel vision of focus, he eliminates all the other players that are on the field. He's not looking at the shortstop or the third baseman, second baseman, center fielder. He's not looking at any of those guys. He's looking straight through the pitcher, because in his mind, the only person on the field that he had to beat was the pitcher. So for him, his basically what he's basing the success of his at bat off of is if he beat the pitcher. And so beating the pitcher could be that he hit a line drive right at the shortstop. And in his mind, he would say, well, if I hit a line drive at the shortstop and I hit it hard and I caught a barrel, well, then I beat the pitcher because I hit the ball hard. He didn't make me swing and miss. The shortstop's actually the person that got me out. It wasn't the pitcher. So that was the train of thought that he had whenever he was in the box, which is what led to Barry Bonds being probably the greatest hitter that has ever played baseball. And then this is kind of very advanced, but he also said, if any of you guys are good at math, this may help you. But he said he got to the point where he was able to mathematically essentially eliminate what pitch that he was going to be getting. And that's something that, I mean, that's, at that level, he's able to do that because they have just charts and tendencies where they know what pitches guys are going to throw and
Yes.
whatnot. But that's just giving you guys an example of being able to catch on to what a pitcher is going to try to
Now,
do to you. And then that's where
um,
that's where your
red Fanta.
your approach is going to come from. One sec, let me. Somebody on here has their
Yeah, can I
microphone on.
also get
Oh, yo, yo, yo.
um
Need a mute.
I'm gonna get,
There we go.
yeah, patty melt.
and can I get the patty melt?
Somebody's getting
Yes.
a patty melt.
All right, would you like for the drink?
What is going on? There we go. There we go. Now we got it muted. And so something like that, that's, like I said, that's kind of a little advanced for you guys because you guys are still learning. But just kind of insight into how somebody like Barry Bonds is thinking. So we need to keep doing what we're doing at the plate. On the pitching side, you guys, we are having way too many walks. And that's just coming down to play and catch. Being able to throw the ball to the person that's catching the ball, because you guys warming up, a lot of times we're playing catch and we're having to go chase balls once we get out to a certain distance because we can't make a good throw. So that's just practicing the art of playing catch every single chance you get to warm up, whether before the game, at practice, but also in between innings. When you guys are in between innings and you're taking ground balls, you're playing catch in the outfield, those are free reps that you get to work on your ability to catch and throw. So, in saying all that, because I kind of got long-winded, y'all keep doing what you're doing. And the guys that are struggling is going to kind of lead me to my next point, because I want y'all to hear it from me and hopefully take the trust in what I'm telling you. But all of you guys, no matter what age you are that's on this call, whether you're the 9-year-old or if any of the seniors are on here at 17, 18 years old, and all of you guys in between, y'all have so much time ahead of you in your career that you don't realize that you have. And what I mean by that is, don't let a bad weekend or even a bad season, like a bad fall, a bad spring, whatever it is, or a bad year, say your 11-year-old year, right? Don't let a time period of not playing good or struggling define your whole ability to play baseball, because baseball is the hardest game there is to play. And I truly believe the only reason that I was able to play for as long as I did, I played till I was 28. So you guys that are 18, think about being able to play for another 10 years. So one of the things I contribute me being able to play that long for had nothing to do with my ability. It wasn't that I was just a great player. It had to do more with persevering. And what I mean by persevering is that I did not let somebody tell me no that I couldn't play. Like, I was always looking for the next opportunity to play, whatever that may be. I also didn't let failure hold me down. I didn't, I could tell you guys so many times throughout my career where things were hard and it seemed like I wasn't going to get an opportunity to continue to play, but yet somehow, because I continued to show up every day, I continued to put in work, and I continued to believe in myself, I was able to continue making opportunities. And so I remember vividly a time when I was probably a year or two out of college, and I was hitting with my hitting coach, Chase Lambin, and it was like maybe a month's worth of me hitting with him, and I just couldn't figure out what we were trying to do, because we were trying to make an adjustment into my swing to kind of change some directions of where I was trying to go. And I just couldn't figure it out. And when I would do lessons with him, like just off soft toss or him throwing live to me, I struggled to hit, like literally would swing and miss. Like, that's how bad it was. And I remember a day driving home and just like bawling my eyes out, crying, because I felt like my career was ending. And it was I guess like I was being hard on myself. And somehow, again, I showed up the next day, went right back to work, just kept working. And next thing I know, I ended up figuring it out. And I was able to go back and play that year and stretch my career out for a few more years after that, because I was still young at the time. So I'm telling you guys all this because you guys are going to struggle. Baseball is a tough game. It's not always going to be you going out there on the weekend and getting 2 or 3 hits and doing a great job on the mound, or your team winning or winning a tournament. Like, all that stuff is going to fluctuate, and y'all have to continue to stay positive in yourself and in your work ethic, and just continue to work. And that also creates the team camaraderie, which is, you know, you younger guys, y'all may not know what the word camaraderie means, but basically like the friendship or the bond or the experience that you're having with your teammates where you are having fun. And when one guy is working hard and he's getting better and you're seeing the improvements and it's translating to the field, like maybe he was at the bottom of the lineup and he was the guy that wasn't getting a lot of hits, and then all of a sudden he started getting 2 hits, and then the next weekend he has 4 hits, right? And he just continues to get better. The next thing you know, he's hitting at the top of the lineup because he's getting all these hits. Well, when y'all mute your microphones. I don't know who just screamed on there. But when you guys do those things, like if you become that player that's going to set the example, your teammates are going to feed off that. And so now if me and 3 other teammates are doing that, right, and it starts to feed off to the rest of the team, that's when the rest of the team continues to grow and get better with it, because you guys are creating this bond of okay, we're working hard and we're going through a struggle together, but because we're struggling together, we're getting more chemistry with each other because we're having to put in the work to continue getting better so that we can see the result change. And when you guys get older, you guys are going to hopefully go off to college and play college baseball. That's going to be a big part of what y'all see ends up happening, because that's where I learned it from. I learned that aspect of the game and like team building from my time in junior college, because you go through so much tough stuff and just so many ups and downs that you end up realizing that all the guys that you're going through this with understand what you're going through. So they understand the struggles. They understand, you know, making an error or striking out with the game on the line. And that relatability that you have with each other, because you start to ask the guy next to you, like, how do you get out of it? How did you go from being a 250 hitter to being a 300 hitter? And that's one of the things that if you guys y'all bond together, then you start seeing that translate to the field because everybody is focused on the same goal. So I say that because you guys need to try to feed off each other as teammates and encourage each other that, look, I'm working hard, I'm putting in the work. I want to push you, the guy next to me, to continue doing the same thing so that you can get better, because if you get better, now the team's going to get better. And now hopefully that guy that you're pushing pushes the guy next to him, and it's a domino effect. Okay? So one more story for you guys. Whenever I was in high school, I my senior year, I didn't have really any offers that I was interested in taking to play college baseball. I wanted to go to a junior college, and all the offers I was getting were like 4-year schools. A junior college is a 2-year school. And my thought of going to a junior college was I wanted to go there because you can get drafted sooner to the minor leagues. You can get drafted sooner from junior college than you can from a 4-year school. There's just different rules. So in my mind, because that was my goal, I thought, well, I'll go to a junior college and I can get drafted after the first year or second year because I'm gonna put in the work. And so I went all the way my senior year with no offers because I didn't have any junior colleges interested in me. I graduated, and like the beginning of June after school was over, I had gone to a camp at Tyler Junior College. The coach liked me, and he came to Houston about a week or 2 later, and he asked me to go work out with him again because he wanted to see me again before like making any kind of commitment to me. And so I did the workout with him. He gave me the offer right there on the spot. He said, you know, like, I want to bring you in. You're going to be a middle infielder. We have 4 or 5 other middle infielders that you're going to be competing against. And so I thought, like, okay, great. Like, this sounds like a great opportunity. On top of, they have really nice facilities. They have awesome uniforms, like all these perks that went into it, right? And so I get there for the fall, and there ends up being like 2 or 3 other middle infielders that end up being on the fall roster that I wasn't really aware of that were going to be there whenever he first recruited me. So that's kind of like the first little nugget for you guys. Like, I want y'all to learn how, like, and this is kind of why I like when we do the group stuff, because I want you guys to learn how to compete against each other. Because when y'all get to high school, when you get to college, that's what it's going to be when you're at practice. So I show up to junior college, and that's me and 7 other middle infielders that are fighting for spots at shortstop and second base. So that means not only does my performance in the game matters, but my performance at practice matters. Because when we're taking ground balls and there's 4 guys in line at second base, I want to be the guy that makes the least amount of errors, right? I want to miss the least amount of balls, or I want to make the least amount of mistakes if we're going through like a cutoff situation or a first and third or a pickoff, right? Because that's what's going to help me earn that spot on the team. So we go through the fall season, and I did all right. Like, it was an average season for me. I thought I did well enough that once we got to the spring, I would be on the roster. I thought I'd probably be like a bench player that got spot starts, every now and then because I was a freshman. And we go in for our winter break meetings right before we leave for Christmas, before we're coming back home. And I was actually probably one of the last guys that had a meeting. And I go into the office, and the coach tells me that he's going to redshirt me, which essentially, you guys that don't know what that means that you're still on the team, but you're not going to be active on the roster. But because you're not active on the roster, you're not going to lose your eligibility to be able to play. So he said he was going to redshirt me, but I was going to be the guy that traveled with the team, and he wanted me to work out with the team every day, because if 3 or 4 guys got hurt and it came down to an emergency situation, then I was going to be the emergency backup guy to go in, and he was going to burn my red shirt. I was the only red shirt. There was 5 of us that got red shirted. I was the only red shirt that got this opportunity to basically still be able to be a part of the team and practice. And so that night, because this is the first time really in my life that I faced true adversity in baseball. A lot of you guys, like, y'all have had failure. You may have moved from another team, maybe another team didn't think you're any good. Whatever the situation is, you guys haven't had like a real taste of like what the game's going to do when it punches you in the mouth yet. Like, and that's coming, and that's what I'm trying to prepare you guys for, because when it gets to high school, like it's a completely different game than what you guys are experiencing now. And so I want y'all to be prepared for some of the struggles that you're going to have to endure, because they're part of the game. And so that night, I had left from that meeting, and the rest of all of our team was already at the cafeteria, and they were having dinner. So I went back to the dorm, and nobody was there. So I grabbed my baseball stuff, and I left, and I went up to this field that was right next to our dorms. And I was like, again, this is another moment. Like, I broke down. I was in tears. I was upset because I'd never had baseball basically taken away from me. I'd never been told that I wasn't good enough to be on the team. And so I called my dad, Coach Robert. You guys all know Coach Robert. So I called him and like explained to him what our head coach had told me during the meeting, and like what my role was going to be during the season. And he told me that I had 2 options, that I needed to accept that at this point in time, I was not good enough. And so I could either roll over and point fingers and make excuses and blame everybody else about how it was their fault. It was my coach's fault. It was the other player's fault. It was this person's fault, that person's fault. Or I can make the decision that I had been given an opportunity to have basically a free 8 months to continue working out and getting better. And I could use it as a time to go and enhance my skills
Healthy
and to
Tucker, sit down.
prove to my coach that I was deserving of a spot on the team and that I did get better and I improved. And that was probably the best thing in my life that could have ever happened to me in my baseball career. And at that point, I made the decision that I'm going to work so hard that I want to be so good that you cannot deny me the chance to be on the team. And I went that night, I hit in the cage. They had like a wall. I threw balls off the wall to mimic taking ground balls. And I worked out there for 2 or 3 hours. And, I got back to the dorms and the rest of the team had already gotten back. They'd heard that I gotten redshirted. Guys were upset. They supported me. And that's like kind of what I'm talking about with that bond of your teammates, because in that moment, I could have been the outcast and they could have made fun of me and they could have done all these things. But instead, they still welcomed me as their teammate and encouraged me and said, don't let it bother you. Like, go and work hard, prove the coach wrong, blah, 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 like all that rah rah stuff. And that helped me get through that situation. And so when we go into the spring, I was the first guy that showed up to practice every single day because the coach told me he needed my defense to improve. So I showed up before practice every single day and I worked with the grad assistant and he would hit me a ton of fungo before practice ever started. And then I'd stay every night after practice to hit. And I don't know if any of you guys remember Coach Connor. He hasn't coached in probably a season, but me and Coach Connor were at junior college together. And so me and him would stay every night and we would hit after practice. And that was what I did. And that work ethic that I learned, along with the ability to go through that struggle, was what ended up basically leading as the stepping stones to how I was able to continue to play year after year after that. So again, kind of long-winded, but I wanted to share that with y'all because I just want you guys to remember that y'all are still young and you are still learning and y'all are playing the game to have fun. So even when you're failing or when things aren't going your way or it's not going the team's way, don't let it get you down. And try to be the guy that's the leader instead of letting things snowball and be negative or guys getting mad at each other. Be the guy that's going to encourage everybody else and be the good teammate. Even if you have 3 strikeouts, don't act like you have 3 strikeouts, right? Like, cheer your teammates on, because if you guys want to get better, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take y'all as a group coming together to be a core that says we want to go through this together versus, I like to think about it like the MLB. Like, the team that spends the most money in free agency every year doesn't always win. Look at the Yankees right now. They're 0-2 in the ALDS, and they have one of the biggest budgets, right? So it's the team camaraderie aspects and the team chemistry and the ability to go through the ups and downs. That's what's going to help you guys as a team get better, but then also individually, because you begin supporting and encouraging each other, which makes you want to work that much harder. All right. So that's my message for tonight. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm proud of what y'all are doing because, like I said, I do follow Game Changer. So I see stats, I see the results. And the guys that are struggling, the teams that are struggling, like, it's okay. It's still early in the fall. It's early in the year. And you guys are still young. That's the beautiful thing. Like, y'all have the most time out of anybody. So just keep going through it and stay positive. All right. We're going to keep working because my job at the end of the day is not only to teach you guys baseball, but it's to guide you and help you navigate the journey that is going to be your baseball career and to give you the guidance and the advice of what you got to do at every step of the way. So you guys keep working hard at practice, listening to all the coaches and focusing on the different, drills or the different situations of the game that's going to come up, and just keep applying yourself. And you guys are going to start seeing those results show up on the field if you're getting better. Like the back of our hat says, 1% better every single day. All right. So that's the message for tonight. I'm gonna let you guys go. I know 10 you guys have practice,
Ah,
and I'll see y'all the rest of the week. All right. All right. Adios, guys. Y'all have a good night.